let's get it out. Let's talk about it. And then let's lift that heaviness and talk about how we can have that heaviness go away. And then we can enter in to real relationships.
So let's bring some happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like this is heavy. I think it seems like it should be such a simple thing, but
Right.
it's really a heavy topic because
Right.
it's something that, like I said, most of us deal with, unless you're
Right.
Jesse, Abby's husband, who has nothing to do with social media
I
at all.
know.
And I love that about him. I love that he just
I
looks
do
at you sideways
too.
like, what in the world are you even talking
I
about, lady?
know.
I remember you told me, this was a while back, that he's like, so basically people take pictures of themselves and their family and then post them on social media so that people will like them.
Yeah, I know.
You're like,
And it's so funny
yep.
because when he says things, it is like all of a sudden it brings you back to reality. You're like,
Right.
yes, that is what's happening. And you know what he always says? This is what he says after he says that. Because he actually just poses it in a question. And then I'm like, yeah. Or he'll be like, so you're actually watching those people like make dinner while you're making dinner? Like just an odd. And then
Yeah.
he always says this. He goes, it's probably the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, when you put it that way, he goes, people are literally filming themselves for the sole purpose of other people watching them and liking them.
Right.
And when he says that, I'm like, and then he's like, that's so narcissistic. That is so self-focused. That is so like, and I'm like, man, it's true. But the reason he has that view is because he has not lived in that culture, you
Sure.
know? And so it's
Yeah.
a nice reality. But here's the exciting thing is it does feel heavy, Eva. It feels really heavy because we're talking about it. But the reality is I know that every mom that's listening to this feels the heaviness on a day-to-day because I do. Because
Right.
I've talked to so many moms. Like I constantly talk to my little cousins and she's like, but this person said to do it this way and this person said to do it this way and this person said to do it this way. And she feels this, I see it and hear it in her voice. She just feels this burden. And so, yeah, it feels heavy to talk about it. But the thing is our goal here is to let's get it out. Let's talk about it. And then let's lift that heaviness and talk about how we can have that heaviness go away. And then we can enter in to real relationships and we can find real influencers in our life. Like, do you know that your community right now is full of women that have lived through things that you cannot even imagine, and the wisdom and the experience that they have that they want to share with you is it's amazing, and you just have to tap into it.
We lived through a generation of not having cell phones or the internet.
Yeah, we did. It actually, you guys, did you know that?
Did you know?
Do you know that the way that we rolled down our windows in our cars was with a handle that we turned?
You would crank it.
You would crank it. And you know what? We had people showed up at your door. People showed up at each other's doors. They rocked each other's babies. They said, you know what? It's okay. This is normal. And you're going to get through this. And you know what? It doesn't have to look like everybody else. It looks the way that God. And you know why they can say that? Like I always think of my friend Betty Ann, who always gives such great advice because she knows my family. She can give me great marriage advice. You know why? Because she knows my husband. She knows me. She knows our faults. She knows our gifts. She knows how we function. And so therefore she can bring life and breathe life and God's word into our situation. She knows my kids. She knows my struggles with my kids. So therefore she can influence me in a way that is beneficial for me, for my children, for my husband, because it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I'm thinking of a friend of mine. I don't know her very well, but she had a baby that she was nursing, and her sister had a baby, had a brand new newborn baby, and her sister got really sick and ended up in the hospital like days after the baby was born. And so she brought her sister's baby home and nursed her sister's baby along with her baby. And I'm like, that's real life. That's
real
community.
life. Yep.
That's the kind of relationships we need to have with people where, you
Yep.
know, you'll literally nurse someone else's baby. I mean,
Yes.
that's big. And even if it's not nursing, how does that look in the homeschool community if, you know, a mama gets sick or, you know,
Yes.
has to, you know, get on a plane and fly to a different state to go to tend to a sick family member or something. I mean, there are so many, I feel like all of us at some point have circumstances that cause us to not be able to tend to our kids the way that we need to.
Right.
And that's where we as a homeschool community step in and say, you know what? We're here. We're a real live
Yep.
in the flesh
Totally.
community.
Yep.
And whether it's your church or your homeschool community or your neighbors or whoever it is that God has
Yes.
placed in your life, that's what we need to be doing.
Yep. And
So
it's back and forth. It's
totally.
I breathe into your life, you breathe into my life. I hold you up in prayer, you hold me up in prayer. It's relationship. And here's the thing, we're not making this up. God's word tells us in Titus 2 that it is the older that teach the younger, and they teach by coming alongside. And where do we find this? So many of you are like, I'm in the four walls of my house. I think also, here's something. Social media is extra tempting to homeschool moms because we spend a lot of time alone in our homes with our kids. And so it's an opportunity to be like another grown up, someone that's actually not needing me to wipe their rear end. They actually are just another adult. And so it can be really tempting for us, but we have to remember that person doesn't know you. They won't know tomorrow if you're, dead or alive. Like these are not, it's a way that the enemy is keeping you isolated. And so real life relationships, they take a little bit more effort. They take seeking people out, welcoming people into your home. They take having grace and mercy when people mess up. They take the fruits of the Spirit. Honestly, it doesn't take much fruit of the Spirit to watch someone all day on a screen. And they take the Lord to be the center of that relationship. So go to a Bible study. It might be hard, but you know what? I remember when I was young, oh my word, here's a quick story if we have one. I was in a room with a Bible study, and I had just had my middle child, like within weeks. And he was in the little car seat, and you know how when they fuss, then you put that bar through your arm and you kind of swing them in their car seat. Is everybody picking up on that?
Yep.
So you're kind of rocking them in the car seat, right? Well, I had forgotten that I had unbuckled him because we had gotten to Bible study. So I gave him a good swing because he loved to be swung in that thing. And he launched out of that thing into the middle. We were sitting in a circle, right? He launched into the middle of the circle.
Oh no.
And I had all the hormones because I just had a baby. And I was mortified, Eva.
Gosh.
I started crying. It was like the worst moment. And all these women, and my pastor's wife immediately scooped him up and took me, out of the circle while I cried. And immediately I heard all of those women, every woman in that circle started sharing. I remember when my kid fell out of their high chair at a restaurant, and they all started sharing these most beautiful, real life mom moments.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one woman telling me how to, this is real. It was this group of women, and they wiped my tears, and they didn't embrace my shortcoming, but they shared like, baby's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. We've all been there. And it was real. It was these real women who then they knew me, and they knew my heart, and I knew them, and I knew their heart. And those were my influencers, and that was my community. And when the whole world falls apart and the internet shuts down and who knows what's going to happen, they're going to be there. And they, to this day, know that little boy that I launched into the middle of the circle, and they're influencing his life to this day because they're a part of my life.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.